All right, for more on this, we're now being joined by John Erath, Senior Policy Director for the Center for Arms Control and Non-Proliferation. He is joining us from Washington, D.C. Sir, thank you so much for joining us on World DNA.
Thank you very much.
Now, sir, to begin with, Israel, it's not officially commented, but there are reports quoting sources which do say that some top IDF officers have in fact said that it was an Israeli strike. Do you reckon this marks a major escalation in the war between Israel and its regional adversaries?
Unfortunately, this is not the first time that there have been attacks going back and forth between Israel and Iran. Israel has taken out Iranian commanders and nuclear scientists in the past, and Iran has responded with terror attacks against Israeli interests. So unfortunately, this is yet another chapter in a very long and tragic story. There are, however, two things about this that do quite bother me. The first is it appears to have been a deliberate targeting of a diplomatic facility, the Iranian consulate in Syria. Diplomats are there to promote peace and dialogue, and if they become targets of aggression, they can't do their job, and hopes of peace are that much less. The second is that apparently the cover of the diplomatic facility was being used for military purposes by Iran, which is part of the same problem. If it is not being used as a diplomatic facility, then that's an abuse of the diplomatic privilege.
Mr. Erath, I also wanted to get your thoughts on this. And now we have seen strikes between Israel and Iran. Iran obviously responds with its proxies in the region. Israel has been going out against its military installations. This time they've also targeted the embassy there. How do you feel Iran is going to respond to this? They've already mentioned that they are going to take a decisive response. How do you see this one coming back from Iran's side?
This is fairly normal rhetoric from the Iranian side. I expect that there will be further terror incidents. I expect that Iran would use proxies the way it has before, particularly Hezbollah and Hamas, to conduct some attacks against Israeli interests. I don't have any special insight as to where and when this might happen, but I would not be surprised if it does.
All right, sir. Of course, just for more clarity on this, you've of course touched on this already. Most Iranian proxies in the region are already involved. How far do you see this conflict expanding going from here? You say that this is just another chapter. How many more of these are we going to see?
If I knew that question, I'd be in line for a Nobel Prize. The story is very long and very tragic, and I don't think we're nearly at an end to it.
Right.
It's also difficult to see how much more it can expand and how much worse it can get. I greatly fear there are going to be more lives lost and more tragedy in the region before we see any improvement.
All right. Well, Mr. John Erath, thank you so much for joining us on World DNA with your insights on this. Always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much for inviting me.